Okay, well, we'll get rolling. People can catch the replay or jump in as we move forward in here. Welcome to the 4:00 session, Global Lacrosse Summit. We've got Jim Hinkson with us today. He's a lacrosse coach and author. Also, we're both alumni of the same junior program. Although Jim was junior A, I was a junior B alum. But we're both Greengale lacrosse alum. Quick shout out to our sponsors who made this happen. Uncommon Fit, Franklin Parr Real Estate Team, Major Series Lacrosse, Manitoba Lacrosse, Sticks and Picks Podcast, Apex Lacrosse Events, and Bear Paw Lacrosse Events. So without further ado, Jim, I'm going to do this long intro, but you know more about you than I do.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really cares.
Well, listen, Jim's had a storied history. He's a teacher by trade. He's coached basketball. He's coached lacrosse. He's done it at professional levels. He's been on some great teams throughout as well. So a lot of this information, I'm going to attest to it. I think I own every single one of his books, and I use them, and I use the content that's in there. So, Jim, I'm going to pull the presentation up if you want to introduce or give more background.
Say a couple words, and we're on our way. First of all, if you want to, well, do they have my email address?
No.
All right, I'm going to give it to you. Hinkson at Sympatico, sympatico.ca. I'm also on Amazon.com/author, AUTHOR, like the Americans, /J Hinkson. And I have a website, www.lacrossefundamentals.com. So you can look at any of those and just see what's going on. I was brought up in a system where we practice 6 days a week. We were as professional as you could get. We would play 2, practice 4, or play 2 and practice 3. And I still believe that if you want to be a great team, you have to practice. A lot of people have kind of gone to 1 practice a week and playing twice. Pretty tough. Even 2 and 2 is a maintain your team. 3 and 2 is the ideal situation. So I have books here, and if you want a book, I'll give you a great deal on them. I've got one of my newest books, The Art of Motivation for Team Sports. I have Lacrosse for Dummies on right now, and I have 5 or 6 lacrosse fundamentals.
Yeah, Jim, I'm just going to preface this for people. We're getting where Jim and I live, we're getting a pretty nasty storm right now, so we apologize. There's some things that were a bit out of our control. So if we're cutting in and out, we do apologize, but Jim's going to get a storm that I just got about 10 minutes ago. He's probably going to get it in about 20 or 30 minutes here. So just bear with us. It's certainly not intentional.
Okay, so throw up the first thing. Now, Brad's running my PowerPoint because he's a tech guy. I'm not. And these are the areas we're going to try and talk about. And the philosophy, I'll get to the first maybe 3 or 4. I don't know if I'm going to get the leadership. I don't want to rush through. I want you guys to ask questions or see what we're presenting here. So the first thing is the philosophy of success. I coached 38 years high school basketball in Toronto. I was ranked number 1 in Ontario for 2 years in a row. I ended up working at Syracuse basketball camp for 10 years. I worked Michigan basketball camp. I really got into basketball after lacrosse because I liked the comparison, the running, the up and down and everything else. So my philosophy, I don't talk about winning. I talk about success. And the point, if you want to drag it down, Brad, these are my main things. Number 1, doing your best. Because you could play a team and play really well and lose. So winning to me is not the real key. Versus you can play a crappy game and beat a bad team and win and still you don't get that good feeling. So doing your best to me is one of the most important things in success. And I talk about success, I don't talk about winning. And improving or getting better as a team, you're always striving to get better right up to the end of the year. And the third one, which is my bread and butter, improving or obtaining your team performance goals. And I'll talk about that later on. It's all about statistics. And you're not competing against your opponent, you're competing against yourself. So all the negative thinking, the nervousness, that's what you've got to fight against. Displaying the team behavior goals, I'll talk about that. We're going to have a season outcome goal. And the bottom line is we're going to measure change lives. In other words, we're going to make men out of boys. We're going to make girls or women out of girls. And we're going to try to make a difference in their lives. The reason I don't like talking about winning is because it's about the future. And you can't control the future. One of the most important things, and they talk about Michael Jordan having the focus, because I know we're all watching the last season right now, but it's tremendous focus in the moment and right now. And if you talk about down the road, the future, you're not talking about the present moment. And if you worry about the past, you're not talking about the present moment. So it's important that when you talk about success, these measures to me are more important than actually winning. Now, everything I have sayings. And these are some of my sayings for success. And this is the one I picked up from a guy named Don Shula, coach of the Miami Dolphins. I used it all my life, and it's the Happy Warrior. And the Happy Warrior, I like the name Happy Warrior because you're going to go and muck in the corner, and you're still going to have a great time playing because you love the game. And the Happy Warrior says, I'll do my best and let the chips fall where they may. And I think that is a great philosophy to play sports no matter who you are. Winning is not the important thing, doing your best. I've won some games and I felt crap because I didn't feel I had an input in the success of the game. So it's not just all about winning, it's also about doing your best. So what we got now are some things, and we'll go to mental preparation, Brad. Don't you think every athlete wants to be in the zone? Because that's what it's all about, getting in the zone. And how you feel when in the zone. So in other words, you become part of the environment. You play effortlessly. You know what's going to happen before it happens. Everything slows down for you. And a lot of times people get in the zone through hit and miss. Now, why am I talking about mental strategies? Because that's about behavior goals. And you've got to know the mental strategies to improve on your behavior goals. So how do you get into the zone? And these are the 12 ways, and you won't find these in books. Some of them you might, but these are 12 ways that you can get into the zone. The first one is the attitude. So with the attitude, you have an approach. You either put pressure on yourself or you don't put pressure on yourself. And I've come up with a couple of sayings. One is by Billie Jean King. I just got this last year in the tennis championship. And her saying is, pressure is a privilege. And I really like that because when you play in a pressure game, you've done well. And it is a privilege to play in a pressure game. The other one I like is pressure is an opportunity to rise. That's Kobe Bryant. I mean, a great player, and he loved playing under pressure. If you are not nervous before a game, something's wrong. You have to be nervous. And the only thing you don't want to do is be over nervous. You want to have those nerves because that's the flight syndrome. So what you want to do is have that nervous to a certain degree, but keep the rest of it down. And the one saying I have is if I'm not nervous before a game, I should be worried. I want to be nervous because if I'm not, that means I don't give a hoot. I don't care. I'm not ready to play. Proper thinking. The way you think is the way you play. These are all about number one, attitude. This is going to be the best game of the year for me. These are things I have written down because they remind me to talk to kids or get kids to do these sayings to themselves. Wanting to play, I really love this. I love playing against the best. I want to compete against the best and the toughest opponent there is. because you get better. You get battle tested when you play against the best teams around, and that's what you want to do. All right, the next one, saying positive self. Again, self-talk is really, to me, the most important thing, because I'm going to deal with self-talk when we get to the behavior goals. But self-talk are words that you say to yourself to calm you down and get you ready to play. All right, let me grab my material here. I'm always organized, or try to be organized. Okay, so if you get nervous, or you'll get negative sayings in your mind, and this is what you want to do. You want to get rid of those. So by having little sayings that you can say to yourself, wipes out the negativity, and now you're saying positive. And these are positive words that you want to say to yourself. So my 13 behavior goals, I'm just going to give you a couple, so they're going to come back to behavior goals farther down. Self-talk is like saying to yourself, I'm a hard worker. Or saying that I play my hardest when I feel the worst. Or I'm going to play at an uncomfortable pace. I'm not going to play where it's not going to hurt. And to be an uncommon player, you have to outwork everybody. So these are sayings that I say to myself on playing hard. And I have 13 behavior goals, which I will go over later on with these self-talks. Okay, going down to the pregame routine. You know, in the Olympics, they had people changing their routine because it was, quote, the Olympics. They changed their routine in getting into the game. So one of the things by putting on your left sock first, putting on your right sock first, what you have to do in your mind, which I'll get down to farther, having a good pregame warm-up, all these are important on relaxing yourself and getting yourself ready to play. Bill Jackson in the last season talked about two things. He mentioned it in his dressing room. He says, guys, breathing and centering. And centering is like visualization, where you sit down, you close your eyes, you take deep breaths, and you can see yourself two ways. You can see yourself perform in your mind. You can see the colors. You can smell the air, or you can do it outside your body. If you watch figure skaters, they're great they have their eyes closed, but they're doing visualization. They're going through their whole pregame routine. Their arms and legs are sticking out and doing everything else to settle themselves down. Another method is deep breathing, and that's probably one of the most famous ones, because if you ever watch a baseball game, before the pitcher pitches, what's he do? He takes a deep breath. What's the hitter do? He takes a deep breath, because it relaxes him. You've got to play loose and relax. Free throw line. What's a player dribbles, picks up his ball, deep breath to relax for his shot. The muscle relaxation is because as you get under stress, your muscles tighten up. So by doing muscle relaxation, you can take each individual muscle, or you can take your arms and shake them out, tighten your fists, shake them up, because as you get pressure on you, you start to tighten up. Now, energizing is an interesting one. Energizing is getting yourself to, give yourself power, to make yourself feel stronger. And you can energize, and what our players did, they would do push-ups, sit-ups before the game in the dressing room. They would touch the ceilings. I've had guys wanting to take cold showers just to kind of snap them out of their, laid back, whatever. You can, even if you watch our hockey team, the Toronto Maple Leafs, they're all taking the smelling salts that get them a little more excited. And energizing can come from thinking of your successes, feeling good, making yourself feel good by thinking of all your successes that you've had. Now, to relax, it's a lot of all these different things: the breathing, the muscle relaxation, the self-talk, even the pregame routine relaxes you. All these that we talked about right now helps you relax. And in the ones below, which I'll hit in a few minutes, are also ways that you can help learn to relax. Now, personal goals. If you don't have a goal, you don't have any motivation. Motivation is all about setting personal goals because it drives you, it pushes you. You want to obtain that goal. And if you don't get it, it pushes you even more. Then we've got acting as if. So you want to be confident, you act as if you're confident. And eventually you will be confident. If you want to feel relaxed, act as if you are relaxed, and you will be relaxed. Then our number 11, focusing, is going through the steps of looking at the game and trying to stay in the present moment. To me, the most important thing in playing sports is the present moment. Watching The Last Dance, everybody talks about Michael Jordan and how focused he was. As soon as he went on the floor, he was focused. He couldn't, nobody could knock him out of that focus. They tried to play him dirty. They tried to play him and talk to him, but they couldn't throw off his focus because he could block out all his distractions. He could center himself into the present moment. He wouldn't worry about the future. He wouldn't worry about the past mistakes. All he wanted to worry about was focusing in the present moment. Now, self-control is something that you have to will your mind. You have to force yourself not to overreact, to stay again in the present moment and not let anybody get upset in that way, okay? So let's go on to the next one, Brad, on to outcome goals. So seeing an outcome goal is a case of you sitting down and going over with your team. I think it's really important after you pick your team that you have that team meeting. The team meeting is really important because if you have input by the players, it becomes their goal and not your goal. So when you sit down for the season, you want to have a vision or a dream. Now with the top teams, they're probably going to have an outcome goal of winning the championship. But what if you're an average team or a below average team? You can't be setting a championship because you're going to get frustrated. So you want to make it a realistic goal. And I saw something where it said you set the goal slightly above what you think the team can do. So you get the players, you may have some returning players, and then you will sit down with the team and say, okay, where do you think we should end up? And let them decide where they should end up. Maybe they want to make just the playoffs. And maybe they want to end up in third or second place. And sometimes with a brand new team, you may not have an outcome goal. You may just say, we have to get better every game. Is that as good as an outcome goal? No, because it's an outcome goal, you can measure it with your wins and losses. And when you measure things, it just helps to motivate you all that much more. So players' input is really important. So I've gotten some things here about if there's no pressure to go after something, there's no motivation. So you have to have that pressure. Your dream or vision will set you apart from others. When you don't know where you're going, any road will do. That was from Alice in Wonderland. I like that one. The two things you talk about every day is if you're a good team, is the championships and defense. This gives you your goal and a competitive edge. So that's outcome goal. Now we go on to and I'm rushing because I want to hit a lot of this stuff here, performance goals. Cut down. And performance goals are a priority list of stats. And I know analytics are a big deal right now, but I've met a guy named Hubie Brown from the NBA who's still in the NBA. This is like 25 years ago. And he was coaching the New York Knicks, and he talked about performance goal, and I really liked it. And one of the reasons I really liked it because it puts you in the moment. It puts you right now. You're not thinking about winning or losing. So Brad, are you there? Put it down. There you go. Okay, so these are 6. When I coached junior A, we won a Canadian championship. I had 30. I had 3 girls do my stats for me. But these are kind of the basic, the old philosophy of 80-20. This is the 80% of these, they're 20 out of the 30, and that'll give you 80% of your what you want accomplished. So, and again, you can switch these around if you want. You want to go defensive first, you want to go offensive first, but you've got to know what your number one stat is in your sport. If you're in field, it may be different than in box. But in box, we wanted to shoot like 20%, 1 for 5. And if we didn't shoot 20%, we shot like 10%, then the question is, what kind of shots are we taking? Number one, can we shoot the ball and hit the hole? If we can't do that, then that's what we got to practice on. Are we taking forced shots? Are we taking hurried shots? These all come into play. So we go down through defensive performance goals, offensive performance goals, turnovers. With the defensive turnovers, it shows our aggressiveness for our team, and that's what we want. Offense, we've been forcing the pass with the 24. We want to keep it under 24. So we're trying to make the simple plays, not make the all-star type pass. We want simple, basic passes. Because we ran, we wanted to score a third of our goals from our breakouts. And then we have our power play. We wanted to score 4 to 7 on our power play. And if we weren't, then we'd have to work on our power play all that much more. And with the man short, if we kept them down to 50%, we felt we were doing pretty good. I mean, if you can stop them totally, that's great. But we tried to keep things as realistic as possible. So what we're doing is we're giving players control over their performance. And we're forcing them to think in the present moment. So if the number one stat is loose balls, and there is a loose ball out there, we want the player going after that loose ball, obtaining its best and not giving up because he's in the present moment. We find that stats builds confidence and energizes the team from small successes. We may get 3 out of 4 or 5 of these, and that's going to make us, even if we won or lose, that's going to make us feel pretty good. What else we got? Stats. We have a priority list. So I always ask, what's number one priority on your team for stats? If you do stats, a lot of teams don't do stats, but I think it's really important. It helps you to break down the game. It tells you simply why you won or why you lost. And the other thing I like is that statistics keeps you. It's a game within a game. So here's our game right now, a loose ball. That's a game. We either win it or we lose it. There's a shot, there's a game. Are we going to score or are we going to get the rebound? So it becomes a game within a game. And I like that. And we use all these stats at practices and we use them at the next game. And they have been good to us. And they're not as much analytics. I don't want to get into analytics. I know it's more than just taking stats. It's about time and individual player. These are team stats. Okay. We also have individual stats, but the team stats are the most important stats, and those are the ones we want. So some of the sayings we have, and I got this from Covey, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Think big, focus small. So although you're thinking big, trying to get 20% on your shooting, you've got to pick a way and get that to 20% because it's not going to happen right away. The key to performance goals is that you're competing against yourself. It doesn't matter what the other team does. You want to get these objectives, and this is what you're going to work with. And this is going to give you the goals for the motivation. So when you want to win a game, you don't focus on winning. You focus on the small tasks you must do to win. By players focusing their thoughts on their own performance rather than winning, they end up enjoying playing the game more. The greatest accomplishments are nothing more than accumulation of small, trivial tasks. And in regards to measuring, if you can't improve if you don't measure, you have to measure. Anything worth doing is worth measuring. Anyways, there's just a few sayings. I have tons of sayings. Now, what we do afterwards is the game, we go down, we go through each one of these. We have questions. Did we get more loose balls at face-off than the opposition? And you'll have your stats, but if we didn't get them, then we're asking the kids, why didn't we get more loose balls? What happened? Did we take good shots? Did we play good defense by keeping the opposition shooting under 20%? And we would say, did we play good aggressive defense? Did we put pressure on the ball carrier, on the passer, and on the shooter? Did we hit with solid checks and slashes? Did we play aggressive, intense, and physical? And through all those, we have all these questions that we ask, not right after the game, but the next practice. And sometimes even before the next game to reinforce that we didn't do really well. And here's the thing when I say that, is make sure you stress what you do well, because we all have a tendency to always improve, but you also give positive reinforcement and saying what did we get. So that performance goals is my bread and butter. I love performance goals, and I really like. I had girls in basketball. I had 3 girls who did all my stats, and I've been really lucky. Okay, so any questions, Brad? Am I speaking too fast? Am I going too fast? Are you there?
Yeah, I got to pop off the screen share thing real quick to see if there's cues.
All right.
I don't see anything in there.
Okay.
So if anybody's got questions, pop them in. It does give me a notification on there, but Jim's open and answering anything we've got.
Okay, let's go to behavior goals. Now, my behavior goals, just bear with me for a minute because I want to share this stuff I want to share with you on mental preparation. Okay, playing hard. I love it when people say, well, we got to play hard. What's that mean? Playing hard. The most important thing is be specific. You know, I worked with Les Bartley from the Toronto Rock, and we worked together for a while in St. Catharines. And I said, come on, we got to play hard. And he comes over to me and says, what do you mean by that? I said, well, we got to run hard. Yeah, he said, well, say the things you want done. If you want to play hard on defense and pressure the ball, you want to help out on defense, you want to run the floor harder. So when you say we got to play hard, it means something. So a guy named Dean Smith, who probably everybody knows about, maybe not, coached North Carolina basketball. When he coached and had a timeout, 3 things he said to his team was, we have to play hard, we have to play together, and we have to play smart. So I took those 3 and I ran with them, and I've come up with 13 behavior goals that I want my team. And I talk to my teams before every practice. I take one behavior goal and I ask them what do they think it means, and we talk about it so they understand where I'm coming from, because this is what I want them to do. I want them to play hard. Then we play with persistence. And self-talk, I use self-talk. Now, if we're doing mental preparation again, we go back to behavior goals. I have a list of self-talk that I want the kids to say to themselves to become more persistent. I get energy from playing aggressively. I never surrender. I never give up. I never quit. I am attacking every chance I get. I take chances. So they have sayings. I give them certain sayings that they want. I'll give them a list. And then what I want them to do is make not a sentence, but 3 or 4 lines of things they're going to say to themselves over and over again in a game. So it gets them in the moment. So with together, now, when we talk about togetherness, and the same thing with the performance goals, with these behavior goals, I talk to the teams about did we work hard enough? Did we play with perseverance? And I want them to answer those questions because those we can't measure. So I would say, did we make good decisions in the game? Did we play with composure and poise? Did we play with physical and mental toughness? Did we play with confidence? And I want their answers because then it gets us talking about how we want our team to play in the behavior goals. So next one,
Jim, we had a couple questions. I need to stop the share for a second so I can see them.
Yep. You know, while he's doing that, a guy named Urban Meyer, who coached the University of Florida, used the winner's circle, or I think he used the champion circle at Florida. And what he did, and he would list all the positive things of his players, what he expected them to do, go to class, be on time, pass their course. And I did the same thing in my high school, that I wanted them to be one of the better students in the school. So I went proactive. And if they did that, I bought hoodies. I bought the hoodies. And a quarter of the way through the season, if everybody was doing what they were supposed to do, I'd give out a hoodie. But what happened, I would have maybe 3 or 4 guys at the beginning, and I'd give them the hoodie. But I wouldn't give them the other guys until they proved to me that they were willing to commit to the team and that they were willing to become good students. So it was just something I picked up from Urban Meyer that I've used over my years. I steal a lot of things. I think it's important that you steal. How are we doing? All right?
Yeah. So there's one question here. Any chance there's a framework or diagram of how these components of performance kind of fit together or relate? Is there a diagram or components of how these all fit together or relate? I think in one of the books there is.
I don't go with diagrams.
Yeah. Chris, the answer.
Jim. About the behavior goals? Are they talking about performance goals?
Performance and behavior.
Okay, performance and behavior. Well, the performance goals are the list that we have. And that's the list I use. And I have a chart that I use where the statisticians, if there's a loose ball, you know, they check off we got it or we didn't get it. And usually they write the number, so we have an idea who's doing well on loose balls.
So if Chris would like to see that, he can email you.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Sure. So Chris, we'll get you Jim's email again if you weren't on at the start. Jim, the second question was, what player age bracket would you suggest to start monitoring those stats?
I would say Bantam, Midget, Junior. I mean, Bantams, they're pretty good players, and I think it's part of motivation. And I'd even, you know, if I coached a Pee Wee team, I'd do them in a Pee Wee team because I can break the game down very easily to them. They'll understand why they either won or lost, and yeah, it makes my life a lot easier. And I can sell on the important stats that we have. Like number one, if it's loose balls, then we should be winning 6% at least loose balls. So, yeah, I would say Pee Wee. I mean, they're good players. Pee Wee, Bantam, and Midgets for sure. Junior, I did it in Junior A, and I coached I don't know how many years Junior A, but I got lucky. We went to 2 Canadians, 1-1.
Right. Now, for American friends who are there overseas, we've got different age categories here that were used to be called Pee Wee, Bantam, and Midget. And I'm kind of like Jim. I don't exactly know, but I think we're starting at U12, U14s, and U16s now.
up to 21.
Yeah. So.
Age over 21, I'd like to use it, but I don't know if they would listen to you as much as the juniors.
Okay. So I can go back to the screen share, Jim.
Okay. Okay, so and then if you want to try and get across persistence, there are some drills you can use. Like one of the drills I use is that the drill isn't over until you score. So if the goalie stops it, he throws it in the corner. And it's usually a one-on-one type situation. You've got to go get the loose ball and go back around, try it again, and you keep going until you can put the ball in the net, and then it's over. Because it creates, an attacking mode that you don't give up. You keep going after it all the time. So yeah, I would like persistent drills. All right, number 3 together. Yeah, well, in trying to get across togetherness, one of the drills I use a lot of team drills. I know we always have 2-on-2s or 3-on-3, but I like team drills because having trust is really important. I coached the pros, and there was like a pecking order. Like some guys wouldn't pass to certain guys, and I'm going, wow, what is this? I mean, why wouldn't you pass to a teammate? But some guys are all stars, and they just feel they don't have to pass to somebody, and they hang on to the ball forever. And I'm going, well, it was frustrating as a coach, and being new at the game up there, it was frustrating, as I say. So playing together is, and the old Three Musketeers, I still like that. One for all and all for one to reinforce togetherness. I play for my teammates. But the one thing I learned this year in watching Kobe Bryant and listening about Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, that although you have to play unselfishly, you have to play selfishly using your skills. And that's a conflict. But the great players have to be the great players. And if you don't have your great player being one of the better players on the team, he's got to be selfish. Even though he's looking the pass and everything else, it's kind of a contradiction. But, I mean, MJ wouldn't have been as great as he had if he had kept passing the ball all the time. He wanted the ball, and he was such a great athlete that he wanted to be selfish. And there was nothing wrong with that because the other guys knew what their roles were. Anyways, that's interesting. Okay, playing smart. Helping. Empowerment is the big word now in coaching. And the more you can empower your players, the better you'll be off. Help letting them make their own decisions on the floor within the system, to me, is really important. And I have some sayings here that I play smart. I make good, quick-minded decisions. By playing smart, I anticipate rather than guess or react to plays, because there's opposites in sports. You could be intuitive, and where you don't think, and plus, in another situation, you're going to have to think. So there's two areas with the opposites. It's like playing hard and playing relaxed. And like number 1 and number 12 are opposites. And where else we got opposites? Poise, keeping your poise versus passionate, positive emotions. They're kind of opposites. So here, what we're talking about is playing smart. So I expect players, I play at 80% of my capacity, so I have room to think and anticipate. That's being smart, so you can anticipate what's going to happen. I am also thinking 1 or 2 plays ahead. In regards to intuition, which is the opposite of playing smart, I don't think I just play. I don't think I just play. I rely on my instincts. And that's one of the most important things. If you're going to be thinking, there are certain situations in the game where you're going to be thinking, but most times I think it's more on instinct the way you play intuitively. I can't be thinking and playing at the same time. Thinking makes me hesitate, and he who hesitates is lost. And the last self-talk is be on automatic, a non-thinking state. Just let your body do its thing. Playing with poise, uh, putting them in pressure situations. To me, if you're going to run drill, a lot of drills we run with time with the stopwatch. We give them a standard number of shots on net, and we give them we outnumber them. In other words, you may go 2-on-1, then you may go 2-on-2, then you may go 2-on-3 to have them learn composure under pressure. So with composure, and these are my self-talks again. This is already talked about. If I'm not nervous, I should be worried. You want to be nervous. I know nervousness precedes all pain. The crazier it gets, the more I love it. I love playing under pressure. These are all regards to poise. I pause for poise to make a play. I love the pressure. So that's all about working with poise. Mental toughness, that's a lot of it. It's got to do with loose balls and defense. The tougher it is, the tougher I get. I have a high tolerance for pain. People who are mentally tough will take pain. I'm reading a book right now, and I picked it up in Florida this year, and everybody's it's How to Be Like Mike, and I thought, oh, it's just going to be a basic book. But you know what? It covers all these behavior goals that he had. I mean, he just to give you some ideas here. The first chapter is on focus. Then the next one's on passion, on the work, on perseverance, on influence, on competing. All these in regards to Michael Jordan. And I mean, he's just reinforced some of the things that I have that I think are really important for an athlete. So, yeah, the tougher it is, the tougher I get. I have a high tolerance for pain. I can endure more pain than my opponents. I play my hardest when I feel the worst. I know there is no courage without fear. I like that one because a lot of times you play and you do fear the other team, but if you've got the courage, you're going to pick it up and play the way you're capable of playing. Okay, confidence. Building confidence. You build confidence through hard work and success. So you have success in your drills, you have success in your fundamentals, and you have success in your games, and that will build your confidence. And it's a progression. You can't just throw a kid out there and expect him to be confident. You've got to help him in the drills. You got to maybe it's just going to be a 1-on-0 for a while until he gets a feel of how to beat a guy 1-on-1 with nobody there, or else have somebody with a blocking dummy that we use to hit him with. So to build up his confidence when he handles the ball. So some of my sayings, and these are self-talk sayings I give the players. My power is my confidence. I get energy from believing in myself. I get confidence from all my hard work. I get confidence from all my successful performances. So there's all your success. I act as if I am confident. So as you can see, as we go through here, all the behavior or the mental preparation we talked about, you use for these behavior goals. I want the ball at the end of the game. That's like your great players. Now, discipline, in that to get discipline, you have to run drills over and over and over again, making sure in the right spot at the right time. And discipline's definition, Bobby Knight had a definition that you do what you're supposed to do. And he has a continuation, but that's basically as simple as discipline can be. I tell you to do something, you do it. And that is part of discipline. For a player, I do something when I don't feel like doing it. And that's the ticket to me of being a good athlete and practicing hard. I play hard when I don't feel like playing hard. I practice when I don't feel like practicing. If you want to be a star, you must learn to play hurt. Play when fatigued and play when you don't feel like it. So that's all for discipline. Now we go to self-control. Now, if you bear with me just for a minute, that's no. All right, we're good. Okay, here we go. Get players, under self-control, you want to get players to focus on things they can control themselves. In other words, their emotions, their thoughts, their performance. When they can do that, they're going to be on more self-control. Some of the sayings I have, I will myself to hold my focus and not get upset. I do not let anybody or anything upset me. When things get crazy, I just say I love it. And a lot of times you have to refocus when you're upset, and you say relax to yourself, or you stay cool, or enjoy, or next, meaning next play. Stay in the moment. We doing good? Brad, you okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I'm waiting for the next slide. Sorry, I was trying to
We're staying
not.
there for a while. We've got 12 more here.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Focus. This is the biggie, I think. Ability to focus. So, as I said before, focus only on what you can control. Focus on one thing, and that's your performance. Never take a routine play for granted. You play every play like it means something. And focus in the present moment, which is what sports to me is all about. Playing in the present moment. They call it the next play, but you're not looking at the past. You're not looking at whether you made a great play or you made a mistake, and you're not looking down the future. I mean, saying we got to win, or I have to score a goal. You stay in the present moment, and you will your mind not to wander, to stay focused. You block out all distractions. Doesn't matter what's going on. You know what you have to do. You're in the moment. And the self-talk that I use, and I get kids to take, I give them the sheet, and they can take what they want. They take 2 or 3 things. To be successful, I must focus on one thing. To be successful, I focus on my performance. I'm going to play in the present moment. Thinking of winning is probably the greatest barrier to focusing. I focus on playing well and not winning. If I start to think of winning the game, I tell myself to stop it. I think of only doing my best and losing myself in my performance. I never take anything for granted. I will myself to stay focused. So that's our little on focus. So now we go to positive emotions. And you got to love the game. And if you love the game, you're going to have the passion. And that's, to me, the most important thing. If the coach is positive about the game, the players will be positive about the game. So that's important that the coach has this great outlook about what the game is all about. Having a positive outlook on the game is one of the most important prerequisites to having a successful game. And then the players you're looking for, I know you're looking for all types of players, but you want players who will bring physical energy and emotional energy to the game. Now, some of the things we talked about on
Jim, hold on. We got a couple questions.
Okay, shoot it.
Oh, you know what? This is an easy answer. Sorry. If Mr. Hinkson does not get to it, could he put up the slides on leadership of coaches at the end?
Okay.
I don't know if we have those.
No, but I can go over them.
Okay. Well,
I have a list here.
yeah, Jason, who asked the question, we'll get Jim's email address up there, and he can send that to you, which will likely be even easier.
Okay. All right, I can do that. Yeah, because it's on my sheets. But I can do that with the, where the hell am I? Oh, here we are. Okay. Okay. All right. And another one, or is that it?
No, the other two we already kind of answered going through it. So
Okay. All right. So we're positive thoughts, passion. And that's my favorite word in sports is passion. And passion comes from doing something you love. Passion comes from wanting to be the best that you can be. Enthusiasm and passion are the basic ingredients of achieving anything. Uh, I wasn't very fast. I wasn't very big. I wasn't very strong, but I could play. I like that because there are a lot of kids who think, well, I'm not that good at this or this. But if he has the passion, he makes up for a lot of different things. Positive thoughts give me energy and enthusiasm. I love playing lacrosse. I love to compete. And these are positive sayings I give the kids so they can say it to themselves or make themselves aware of how you get passion and staying positive. Okay, relax. We covered everything there. All these here um, with the mental preparation, the list of mental preparation that I had. If you do those, then you will relax. Deep breathing, okay, self-talk, your approach to the game, muscle relaxation. Uh, you know, all those are important for you to relax. So that's all you have to do is follow the mental preparation. The one saying I like is relax the max. It's when you over try that you run into problems. If you can relax yourself, the deep breath, you will play to your maximum. Some sayings I give the kids is I'm going to play physically relaxed. I'm going to just relax and play. I'm going to play effortlessly. I'm just going to let it happen. I'm going to let the game flow. I am not going to over try or try harder. I'm not going to play tennis. Well, you've got to learn to relax. You can't just say I'm not going to play tennis, but you got to play relax. Okay, and then the last one, playing with energy. And we talked about energizing in mental preparation. And playing with energy, that's where you energize yourself by either doing push-ups or sit-ups or jumping jacks or whatever, taking a cold shower, stretching, listening to loud music. Some guys listen to loud music. Other guys will listen to soft music to calm themselves down before a game, or just listen to your favorite song. Uh, Happiness. If you're happy all the time and you get kids laughing, that gives them positive energy. You can give them positive self-talk, which I'm going to give you in a minute. Energized by visualizing, seeing yourself playing a great game, uh, acting as if you have lots of energy. So all the 12 things I talk about mental preparation affects number 13, playing with energy. Couple things. I get energy from feeling powerful. I get energy from feeling strong. I get energy from feeling good. I'm going to play energized. These are the words I give them. And they can pick one or two and go with it. I'm going to have fun. I feel great. So that is our behavior goals. And if you want to go to the leadership, I can just touch on the leadership in my list. And to be a good leader. And again, this is debatable. I mean, nothing's cut in stone here, but knowledge of the game. I mean, that's what we all work for. I mean, I've worked 38 years and more trying to be a good coach and going to clinics and coaching at Michigan and coaching at Syracuse to become a better coach. And then once you become a better coach, you get too old to get going anymore. So you have a lot of knowledge and you work for that knowledge, but now it's like you don't know anything anymore because you're old. Anyways, expert knowledge of the game. knowing how to organize, prepare, and plan the season. I mean, these are basic things you have to know. How to make good decisions and know how to select and create team leaders. Picking players is one thing, but turning players into leaders, team leaders, is so important. Empowerment. And that's where we have our team meetings and we let the kids decide what they want to do, where they're going to go. I'm going to give them some direction, but overall, they're the ones who are going to be, and it's going to become their team goals, not the coach's goals. And I think that's really important. So empowerment is letting them have input. Teaching fundamentals. I mean, that's all part of knowledge. You got to know how to do that. And it takes time. It's not something, if you played the game, this is what I played the game. I played under coach. That's the way I coach. Period. I don't have to read. I don't have to do anything else. And I really question coaches that do that. Know how to put a playing system together. Oh my God. I never played basketball, but I got into it. And I go to clinics, and one coach would say, well, I do it this way. Then I go to another clinic. He says, I do it another way. And then I get another guy. I was going crazy. So, you have to kind of figure out what you want and what's going to be successful for you, what kind of players you get, and go from there. Knowing how to run a good practice. That's all part of the knowledge. And again, I broke my practices up we would do our warm-ups, which is our stretching and our jogging around. We do passing for like half an hour at least. Then we do another half hour to an hour running fast breaks. Then we go into either offense or defense. So I do the fundamentals and the running, and then I do either offense, defense, or specialty team. So I'd run 3 practices. One would be an offensive practice, one would be a defensive practice, and one would be a specialty team practice. So we do a little bit of the fundamentals at the beginning and running for all practices, but then I break them up and doing the defensive, starting at 1-on-1 or 2-on-2 and building up. And same with the offense, and then I do power play man short. So knowing how to run good practice is important. And the other thing is where you get your experience game coaching. Knowing when to make changes, who to put on the floor at a certain time. Number 2, my son played at Sacred Heart University Division I lacrosse, and the coach only talked to the captains. Wow. He didn't talk to anybody else. And I'm thinking, how can you play for a coach that you don't have a relationship with? I mean, we played for Jim Bishop, who won 7 Junior A Canadian championships. He was a tough guy, and I loved him because I knew he cared about me, and he built a relationship. He knew about my family. He knew about what I was wanting to do in my life, and he knew all his players, and he talked to them after practice or before practice. But once you got on that practice floor, he yelled and screamed at me more than probably anybody, but he made me a better player. So building relationships to me is really important. And the other thing, number 3 I've got is building self-esteem, building players' confidence, and seeing the positive in them, not the negative. And communication and relationships are pretty well the same thing. So communicating with your kids and talking to your kids, you find out, if they have a problem at home, if something's going wrong in their life. And to me, that's important. Number 5 is personality. You use your personality and you be a good role model. Good character is number 6, and that's you teach values about respect and about trust and making men out of boys. Okay, and then number 7 is motivation, and that could be a way up. My philosophy is goal setting outcome goals, setting performance goals, setting behavior goals. I have cohesive goals, which is like team building, and those are important because first of all, I send kids off the floor, out of the dressing room, because they're not committed. The first question I ask everybody, are you committed? If you're not committed, this is what I expect. And if you're not committed, I don't want you on the team. Because commitment is everything. And you talk about caring, and you talk about trust. Uh, and then we have value goals that we talk about. We're not like behavior goals where I set them straight up. And the other thing is, and to me, this is so important in coaching, is feedback. And feedback is in drills, it's in games, it's all the time. But you get motivation through your feedback. You either give information, feedback, you explain to kids what they're doing right or doing wrong. Then you get verbal praise, and then you give criticism. With little kids, a lot of times, they're always constantly praising them, and it gets to the point where the praise doesn't mean anything. It goes 60, 30, 10. 60% is on information, 30% is on praise, and 10% is on criticism. Sometimes you got to be hard on kids to be fair with them. Anyways, there's a few more, but those were the main ones. Pre-game, post-game speeches, excuse me, are extremely important. You should be working on how you're going to present a pre-game speech. I spend like a half an hour on what I'm going to say. My philosophy, I told you, is about success, setting goals, striving for excellence. Your attitude toward mistakes is important. Being a positive role model, creating a positive culture or environment on your team, and handling fear with courage, facing your fears. Anyways, that's it. That's all I got. I mean, I hope I didn't go too fast, but
create some good dialogue for people to reach out if they want to, they want some more information. Jim, I would probably, one thing I want to know in terms of your coaching career, we'll bypass the playing career. We'll talk about coaching.
Well, my playing career was better than my coaching career, but anyway, that's good.
This is a lot of people who are on are coaches, but I mean, what's the most memorable non-championship thing you have in terms of your coaching?
I did a midget B team because they didn't have a coach, and my son was on it, and I've never coached my son before, and we put a group of rag-tag type guys. We put them together at midget B, and we went to the All-Ontario, and I had so much fun. The kids were great. They enjoyed my yelling at them. It was a good time, and we had a lot of fun. Yeah, I still remember great memories. I mean, all the other ones. I mean, winning a Minnow Cup with the team I had in Whitby, we beat New Westminster, which was undefeated on their floor. I think they only lost one or two games, and we went out there and we beat them in 5. And that was. But I had a great team. And I had great power play. We went like 12 for 14 on our power play. They tried to intimidate us because we were huge. And if our power play hadn't scored, we would have lost the series. But I had 5 outstanding players. Cam Devine, who's in the CLA, Johnny Jordan, Gary Martinello, they got all, and Gilly Noondike was on the crease at the time. Then we went senior, he went on the shooter spot. And, Dirks. Eddie Dirks was on the other crease. Okay. Great power play. They were fun to watch. They could move the ball so easily.
Nice.
But we practiced. It just didn't come. I mean, we did a lot of practice.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, listen, we just went over time by a few minutes. I wanted to thank you for presenting and being on here today. I know you were looking forward to it, and you put some, a lot of notes together for it. So.
Well, but I write books. This is what I do.
I know. No.
See, I can't remember everything. That's why I started writing things down. When you spend 8 years in high school.
Yeah.
I was 21 when I left high school. I wasn't the greatest student in the world. Then I became a teacher. But anyways, when you spend 8 years in high school, I started writing things down, and I remember well, of course, because I've written it down. But some guys they can know it off the top of their head. They hear it once and they know it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, anyways, it was and our electricity didn't go off, Brad.
Yeah, I was gonna say the storm held off so far, so that's great. But we're back at 6 o'clock for any female coaches that are there or interested in female draws. Kay Morissette, probably one of the best in the game, is gonna share some of her tips and secrets. And at 8 o'clock, we did add a new speaker in. Chaz Woodson is going to be coming on. He's a U.S. Lacrosse member. He is going to be speaking on Nation United Lacrosse and diversity, was something that Chaz and I have talked about quite frequently, and with current environment happening in the United States, it probably couldn't happen at a better time for us to open this up. Chaz is a very candid speaker. So if you can't join us at 6, please join us at 8. Jim, I wanted to thank you again. I've been letting the speakers have the last word on this, so the last word is yours, and I'll end the meeting.
Well, I think they've done a great job. I mean, this is for lacrosse. The summit is awesome. I'm just glad I'm part of it.
I appreciate it. Listen, stay safe. Have a great night, everyone.
See you later.